Music was the light in my chaos. I had the job, the house, the wife, the business class tickets, and then everything,
Gone.
was gone. And my doctor at one point was like, "You got to promise me that you do 1 hour of music every day," and it saved me. I healed through music.
What happens when the life we've so carefully constructed suddenly falls away? When the momentum stops and you're forced to ask, what actually sustains me? That's where Farid Azouri found himself. And he had a choice: return to the fast trajectory he was once on, or slow down and focus on what matters most: music, connection, collaboration. This is In Making. What do you love about music?
The fact that it brings people together. And that's my approach to music as a DJ and now as a producer and live performer is I bring people together, and the different sounds that I can put together in my sets allow me to reach a wide number of people. Electronic music allows to bring any type of sounds together, from African percussions to, Middle Eastern vocals. The other thing I love about music, and particularly electronic or house music, is it makes me feel comfortable. That four to the floor kick drum pattern, it's comfortable for me.
So speaking about the universality of music and bringing different sounds together from different places, you were born in Paris, you're Lebanese. Tell me a little bit about how that has informed your music in terms of having this multicultural background, but also in some of the early influences you had.
I grew up listening to my dad and my sister's music. My first memory is me being in the car in a road trip with my family and listening to oldies, what they call oldies now. So Motown, the Beatles. My sister, who's older than me, used to listen to, alternative rock or pop music at the time, or even hip hop. So I was very much influenced by their music. So I grew up in Paris. I moved back as a teenager to Lebanon with my family. There, I did not connect with the pop music, the mainstream music that was playing there, and that's what pushed me into more alternative genres, including house, especially house and electronic generally, and techno and trance at the time. My sister, who's a podcaster, radio journalist, radio host, brought me in to work with her at a radio, and that's where I first dabbled with equipment, mixers and players, CD players at the time, and turntables and stuff like that. So in the mid 90s, the post Civil War, there was a revival of the nightlife, and I got into the underground music there. And because it was the context of doing things that were not known at the time, or they were underground, they were almost illegal, some free parties and things like this. And I got very, very attracted by the culture. And one of my closest friends taught me how to DJ, and this is how it started.
And you remember the first time that you DJ'd, the first party that...
Yeah, and I freaked out. It was very stressful. I mean, I was DJing in bedroom DJs, what they call bedroom DJs today. I was DJing at home, we're doing house parties, and then I had my first real big gig where it was actually an 80s kind of new wave party, and it was very stressful. It was very fun though, and when you put the right song or the right track at the right time for the right people, there is this communion that happens, this energy that gets exchanged between you and the people and the crowd, and between the people attending the party themselves, and it creates emotions. And that was extremely attractive for me. Like I got addicted almost to that feeling,
to seeing the crowd respond to your music.
and creating emotions in people.
Yeah.
And I think, and that's my understanding of what art is. And that's why this discussion about is being a DJ an art form or not. I believe so. I think it's an art form. It's a craft. It's a skill set, but it also creates emotion. And that's what art is. It's creating emotions.
When you're DJing, how conscious are you of the crowd's response?
I mean, it's for me, it's the fundamental. That's what I do it now, and it's a debate in the industry, of course. Is do you play for the crowd or do you play your own sound? And like a comedian who drops a joke and nobody laughs, if you put a track and nobody dances, it's the same feeling. You're not gonna play that track again. Although that track could actually make other people dance in another context. But that's the art, which is also like not playing just for the crowd, like just songs that people like, but being able to integrate your own sound and at the same time connect with that crowd.
How much pre-work is going into those performances?
So each DJ have their own process. For me, it's a constant thing, right? So it's like I constantly listen to music, identify tracks that I like, download them in advance. So, and then over the years, the preparation is less in the sense of for one specific set because I'm accumulating my catalog. My catalog is growing. If I'm recording a set for radio, sometimes I prepare a bit more because it's just 1 hour. If it's a long set, 3-4 hours, let's say at a weekend or in a house party or something, and then I don't prepare and I leave my inspiration takes me somewhere and see how people react and so on. It takes some work. Like if you don't do your homework, people usually feel it because the essence of DJing is the right song at the right time for the right people. And then there is the other aspect, which is the technical aspect. So the quality of the transition, the overlaying different parts of songs together, the loops, playing with 2 or 3 or 4 different tracks and creating something live that requires a lot of preparation and practice. And now with new technology, the practice is less needed. When I started and back in the day, you had to practice for hours with your turntables, making sure the beats are matched. So it depends again about the context.
Yeah.
But I do like to prepare a little bit, but I never prepare my sequences.
I love something you said just a bit earlier, the story you're trying to tell. That's something you're very conscious of.
100%. And you can build a set where it just builds up in intensity and energy throughout, but then you're going just one direction. You can go up and down and, slow down a little bit, go back up. You can play 1 hour of the same style, 1 hour of techno, or you can go into different direction, play some house, some acid house, some disco, and then maybe some texo, some vocals, some edits. There's many things you can say while you're playing.
You were now a teenager in Beirut. Was music something you're obsessed with, but it was like a hobby?
Music was a hobby. It was a social thing as well, and it's a lifestyle. And then for some reason, I decided to go more into corporate world, and I studied finance and business, economics. I wanted to make money, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to, secure my future.
Sure.
And then as a broke student in Paris, buying vinyls and equipment and all that became a little bit more difficult. I focused on my studies. And then when I got my master's degree, I ended up having an opportunity here in Washington, D.C. For a few years, I just focused on that. I was still listening to music a lot, but I kind of, for some reason, I gave up on DJing and, it was, a lot of practice. I didn't have a lot of time. But in parallel, digital music appeared. MP3s and waves and digital controllers for DJing. So eventually, when I stabilized, and one of my best friend Nami and a guy I've been playing with and partnering musically for a decade now, even more, came to me and one day told me like, what do you do, in your life? Like I'm like, well, I work, I try to meet girls, and then I watch Game of Thrones. And he was like, okay for working, okay for the girls, but Game of Thrones, why don't you get back into DJing? And it got easier because it was very easy to buy a controller, download tracks on online, and then start playing again. And this is how it started again for me. And then I started DJing. There was a gap, supply gap in alternative but accessible music at the time. So in DC, particularly in Washington, you had like techno, underground, super cool parties, even house music parties and so on. But it was very hard to access. And then you had the mainstream pop music parties. So I came into that segment where it's like it is alternative, but it's accessible, it's relatable, and it picked up very quickly at the time. And we started like I invited about 100 friends for my birthday. 300 people showed up, and then very quickly I started playing in bigger clubs, and and so on. And okay, DJing was fun. I'm a very simple DJ. I play with two decks. I do simple transition. I'm not like super fancy in my technique as a DJ. At this point, after a year or two, I realized, okay, that's not enough. I want more. So, okay, I have two options. Either I develop my DJing skills and play more with multiple decks, do live remixing, or I venture into production. I had limited time. I'm working, so for me it was either one, right? Either I
And you were working in a quite a high-powered position at this point,
At this point I was rising,
rising fast.
I was rising fast in this large corporate, and so not so much time, right? In order to play with multiple decks and develop really a sophisticated skill set as a DJ, you need to practice. So I was like, okay, I don't want to practice. I want to learn how to produce. And I got into Ableton specifically because my partner, my music partner at the time, Andres, had an Ableton controller and a license, but I had no music background. I never learned music, and I regret that. And I regret my parents didn't force me to play the piano. They put my sister in piano and me in tennis. It should have been the other way around. And very interestingly enough, I was in finance and economics. Ableton for me was a little bit like an Excel spreadsheet. Like you discover the equal function, and okay, you can do a few things. Then you discover the if function, and then it opens up completely. So I started producing on Ableton in a digital world with digital controllers and the software. And, for many years, maybe 5, 6 years, I was doing that. I did a few sounds, I did a few tracks. It was okay, it was good. I was working a lot between 2017, 2021. And in 2021, I got COVID, the first strain, pre-vaccine, and it really affected me a lot. Like I got what we call a long COVID. It was very extreme. It took me a month to get out of bed. It took me 3 or 4 months to get out of the house. I couldn't go to the supermarket. I couldn't drive. I couldn't, my nervous system was affected essentially. And I developed, different symptoms, including major brain fog, anxiety, and I couldn't use the computer. Like I was having cognitive issues that prevented me from even using WhatsApp, or it was very difficult. I need to watch a movie 2 or 3 times in order to remember the movie. So memory issues as well, and I was alone at home. I separated at the time also with my wife, and I went to see. I was in a long COVID clinic. I had a neurologist, two neurologists, a geriatrist, a psychiatrist, like a general practitioner. Like I had all kind of. I had a team supporting me.
How often were you going to the doctor at that point?
Every 2 weeks.
Yes.
Every 2 weeks.
Okay.
And I did this neuropsych test, and I failed. And the result, I failed. The result of the test, the neurologist told me that my brain used to be a race car. A master degree, 3 languages, high level position, stress environment, whatnot. And now my brain is a normal car. And I was like, is it more like an Audi A6 or a Toyota Camry? I was like, no, it's more like a Toyota Camry. So I could still go from A to B, but at a much slower pace. It was very hard. It affected my mental health. Obviously, I was like really depressed, and it took me into a spiral that was very, very difficult, to be honest. And all the doctors were like, okay, you need positive, you need dopamine, you need positive energy. So you have to stop working, you have to remove as much stress as possible, and you have to do things that make you happy. So people, obviously, but also music. And I needed to do a cognitive rehab. So I was like, using cell phone games or whatever, brain teasers and stuff like that. But I essentially did my cognitive rehab via music. And the reason why I went to an analog kind of setup is because it required less cognitive responses, more physical, and it came from the guts. Like it was like I was turning knobs, and I was hearing things as opposed to concentrating on a screen trying to create music. So the music became like more of a feeling, and that's when again it opens up. But interestingly enough, at the time I had no purpose for that music. The only purpose I had was to heal, and I was creating sounds and grooves. What I'm good at is creating grooves, so percussions, drums, bass lines, and I created and composed more grooves in 6 months, a year at home than in the 6 previous year in the digital setup.
Wow.
So we're in mid 2021. I starting to go out again, go for a couple of hours here and there. And my friend Zach is doing a jam with also super talented artist Huda. Zach on the guitar and Huda on the oud, and they're playing, and it's missing percussions. It's missing a beat, and I can feel, even me, we all want to dance, but it's hard to dance with just a guitar and a oud,
Sure.
So I came and I said, guys, I have a drum machine, and next time you do a jam, maybe I can plug in my drum machine and bring the beat. And I had never done that, right? And then 3 weeks later, Huda is back in town. They're actually organizing a jam, and they call me. They're like, "Hey, do you want to bring your drum machine?" And it was one of the most powerful experiences. Actually, and I was still very fragile at the time,
Yeah.
and the adrenaline was so intense for me, and the performance was so amazing that I fainted at the end. It was so intense on my body, and it was amazing. So it was my first kind of live performance, and it was fascinating because eventually, when people heard that Zach, Huda, and I were performing together, other musician came, and it was an open jam. So we ended up being like 10 musicians:
Wow.
a bass, a guitar, two guitars, a trumpet, a singer, and it was fascinating because I was controlling the entire energy with that drum machine. I'm the least qualified musician out of all of them, but I was controlling the entire performance, because if I remove the kick drum or I increase the tempo, then the musician adapts right away, and then the energy goes up, energy goes down. It's a break. It's the high intensity moment of the track. All that with that drum machine. That has changed my life, actually, and it was fascinating. And then I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. Like, this is the coolest thing ever. And eventually Zach came over, and we started jamming together, and we came up with multiple tracks and songs. He ended up buying a looper for his guitar that would synchronize to my gear, and we did a couple of performances without a computer.
Wow.
It was a full analog setup, and it was great, and it worked, and people started dancing on the music that I composed with him. And at the third or fourth show, when I saw that there was 100 people dancing on the music that I composed, I called my boss on the Monday, and I'm like, hey, we need to talk. And I put my resignation, and I decided to just focus on that.
Was that a difficult decision for you? Was it simple at that point?
No, it was very difficult. I have to say, and I was really high up, and then I took a step back with this illness because it really affected me, and it took me 3 or 4 years to actually fully recover. So here we're like a year and a half, 2 years in.
Yeah.
I realized that if I go back to work and in that corporate context, it's going to be very difficult for me to get back to the level I was in, and I couldn't see a future there. And I was also burned out from the job, and I realized it was not good for me. It was not good for my mental health, for my well-being, and then music was bringing me so much happiness. And so yeah, it was difficult. And this job was, I was getting paid really well. It was safe. I had sick leave and disability and vacations, and a secure and safe future. So yeah, living was not easy. But I followed my heart and my passion, and I was like, I'm going to do that. I was lucky also because I don't know if it's luck, but while I was working in that company, a friend of mine and a couple of other people in the city, we opened a restaurant bar at the time, a cocktail bar. And for me, it was a side gig. I was doing investor relations and music curation, essentially. And it was fun. I had a bar where I could go play my music. And then during COVID, the restaurant transformed, so the cocktail bar, and transformed. So we started as a 30-seat cocktail bar, and it became a 100-seat Michelin-rated restaurant. So when I quit, my partner called me. He was like, oh, now that you're not working, why don't you come and help me out a little bit? There was some changes in management. So he was like, I need a little bit of help. So I started, getting involved. It was still hard for me to work. So I would work 5 hours a week, and then 10, and then 20. And then eventually we signed the lease for a new restaurant, and we opened a second restaurant. And then, eventually I started getting more and more involved. But I was lucky because as I left, I had this this other entity and this other project
Sure.
that I could be involved in from a mental and personal perspective, which is like working and being involved in a team and so on, but also financially. Like
Sure.
it was a nice little cushion for me, so I could do both for a while. And now I have to balance music and restaurant, which is
This is a common occurrence for creative people. They have to sort of juggle paying the bills, but also, living out their creative aspirations. I think I've discussed this with you before, but there is a sort of a dynamic between creativity, music, food. They have that capacity to sort of wow and wonder. And
I fully agree. I think, cooking at the level of restaurant chefs and even at home is an art form. And coming back to what I was saying earlier, it creates emotion. So for me, it's an art form. And when I see our chefs, the way they work and what they do, and for me, it's art. But also the process of cooking in a less professional context is very similar to the process of DJing, because you have to get your ingredients in advance. You can have great, and then you have to mix them, and then you can have great ingredients, and if you don't mix them well, then it's not that good. And
Sure.
you can have mediocre ingredients, but if you mix them well, then it's actually pretty good.
You're now working as a restaurateur and producing. You spoke a little bit about it as a DJ, but what is your creative process? Is it consistent in terms of how you create a track? Does it change? How do you come up with the initial inspiration for something? How does that develop over time? How do you know when you've got something, and how do you know it's complete?
Okay, so my approach is a little bit different, coming from that analog dimension to finishing a track. So I like to jam. So I create loops. Drum loops, synthesizer loop, bass line loops, and then I arrange them live. It's very hard for me to put an arrangement together, meaning the intro, and then this sound comes in, and then this sound goes out, and then this comes out, and and then creating the structure of the track, the verse, the chorus, the bridge. I always have a different, idea for the arrangement. So it's harder for me to create composed melodies. I can do it, I've done it, but that's where collaboration becomes very interesting, because I have Zach or other musicians that come and compose, very quickly some melodies, and then we build the tracks from there.
Does that part of the process, creating a foundation, is that something you would do by yourself at home? And then once you like, okay, that's great, I'll put that to the side, create a few of those, and then you say, hey, Zach, come over on Thursday nights, let's jam.
Exactly. That's mainly how it works. Or with a session with someone. I work with my partner, Mina, my girlfriend, and same, we like come up, we start from scratch together, and then we build it up together in a jam.
Which is nothing really matters. Love is all we need. I need to just see this. Everything I gave you all comes back to nothing really.
Yep. That's how it works with this upcoming EP that I'm doing with Zach, but also to fantastic artists here in DC, Brooklyn the Kid and Aleza. The way it worked, and the story is funny, is that I had prepared all those grooves and beats while I was sick, and then eventually we met for a music project. Someone introduced us, and she comes to the studio. I don't know her. And I'm sure
Just to clarify, who comes to the studio?
Brooklyn the Kid, which is a rapper.
Brooklyn comes to the studio.
Brooklyn the Kid is a local, super talented rapper. So she comes over. I start playing her some beats, and then there's one that she likes, and she's like, "Oh, I may have something." And the first line she drops in the studio It goes like this: Shorty wanna drive a fast car, tell him to slow down a little bit, little bit, little bit.
Shorty wanna drive a fast car, tell her slow down a little bit, little bit, little bit, little bit, little bit. Hey, shorty wanna drive a fast car, tell her slow down a little bit, little bit.
And on the spot, I didn't realize the impact and the significance of this.
Why was that
And
significant?
it's so significant because I was telling you earlier, my neurologist told me your brain was a race car and now you're a normal car. And then Brooklyn comes and says, you know, shorty want to drive a fast car, you have to slow down a little bit, little bit. So I realized that only a year later as we were finishing the track, and I was like, wait, what? My God, it's like it's meant to be. Like this song is so significant for me, and so significant, I think, for the times that we are currently is, where everyone wants to go fast. Everything is fast. It's only a few seconds online. When you scroll all the time.
Sure.
Everyone wants to get fast to fame, or everyone wants to get fast to the top of their company. Everyone wants to make money fast. Everyone's always
Sure, yeah.
And I think, you know, why don't we slow down a little bit.
Shorty wanna drive a fast car, tell her slow down a little bit, 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 little bit. Hey, shorty wanna drive a fast car, tell her slow down a little bit, little bit, little bit, little bit, little bit, little bit, little bit. Hey, shorty wanna drive a fast car, tell her slow down a little bit, 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 little bit. Shorty wanna drive a fast car, tell her slow down a little bit, little bit, little bit, little bit, little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit.
Take me far away through this precious place. We gon' find a way in this foreign place. Help me navigate, get to better days, get to better days.
Those performances with Zach and then eventually meeting Brooklyn the Kid, you know, led to you know, a live set. So my setup was fully analog, and then eventually my brain started to come back and to recover, and I started recovering.
How important has music been for your cognitive recovery, if you want to call it that?
The most important. That's what healed me. I healed through music. The doctors, the psychiatrists, the psychologists, everyone was like, do it, it will help you. And it did. And, you know, my doctor at one point was like, you got to promise me until the next 2 weeks, I was seeing them every 2 weeks, that you do 1 hour of music every day.
Wow.
And it saved me. Like I recovered cognitively and mentally, emotionally.
And when you have a block, what do you do for the small blocks and for the big blocks? How do you overcome those?
Collaboration, you know.
Do you ever feel vulnerable when you do that? When you have to say, like, I don't know what's going on, I need your help?
No, actually, because you know, I'm super humble about my musical skills. I always think that sounds bad, you know. And you asked me earlier, how do you know it works? I know it works when I'm dancing on it. When I'm alone or with friends or with collaborators and I'm dancing.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm dancing, after 25 years of listening to house music and being in clubs and producing and DJing, if I'm dancing, that means it's probably gonna work. So no, I have no problem. Actually, and that's why, you know, some artists were telling me that what's very pleasant about coming here is that there's no ego in the room. You know, there's no like I'm not leading. I don't want this to happen. I just openly share my thoughts, and then I love hearing from other musicians, and I take any feedback on any piece of music that I'm involved in. I have absolutely no problem. So not at all. So
let's talk about Mosaic. I want to know what that felt like to bring those musicians together after months or years of collaboration and have them perform in front of a live crowd. What did it feel like to be on stage and have everyone responding to that music and collaborating with those artists?
The best performance to date. The most interesting and the most satisfying and uplifting, you know, performance, concert, set that I've done. It started with Zach, and then we met Brooklyn in LA, and then we made those few tracks. Then I met Mina, who's one of the top DJ here in the city, and amazing and super talented producer and composer. And then I met Samantha Yvette, which is a super talented singer. And so it was a combination of the work I had done with those different people. So I was kind of at the center of it. I wanted the girls to be in front, but we couldn't because of some technical issues. So I ended up being in the center of it. But it was significant because it was the work that I had done with all those people that I put together into a live performance. It was fantastic. We had 3 singers, 1 rapper, Zach playing bass and guitar, and then I was doing the rest. And I was conducting by controlling my loops, by removing the percussions, adding percussions, creating rolls, drum rolls, and it was amazing. And the support of the community was fantastic. We had a packed room, and people liked it. And that show had no specific genre, right? It was not a techno show, it was not a house show, it was not a hip hop show. It was all of it together. And it started at 100 BPM with some hip hop vocals and constructions, and it ended with a melodic techno track at the end at 125 BPM, with going through Middle Eastern sound, alternative rock, guitar, and all within the construct of electronic music. But still, like, this show had no genre. Some people are like, well, what type of music is that? Like, it's really hard to define. It's fusion.
Like your restaurants, it's fusion.
Like my restaurant, but like my DJ set too,
Sure.
and like my music and like my musical background. I love all kind of music. I told you, like, I figured out a way to put all this together into a 2-hour performance of my music, but of my background also, because
Sure.
I grew up in Paris from a first generation French from a Lebanese family, but I lived 20 years almost in the US. I'm not really American. I'm not really French anymore. I'm not really 100% Lebanese. I'm somewhere in between all of that, and that influences my music and the sound that I want to share. One thing I've learned in that story that I told you is the goal is to be happy, as much as you can, because again, some people don't have that luxury to be happy, but if you
Sure.
can, that's where I want to spend time with things that make me happy. The restaurant makes me happy. Being with people and the team makes me happy. Making music, collaborating and performing makes me happy.
In a way, sure, you're looking for your own happiness, but you're creating music, you're bringing people together, you're even bringing them to your restaurants to give them an experience, to bring happiness to them, even if it's momentary. And maybe music is one of those things, or a good meal with friends is the sort of thing that can, even if only momentarily, provide a moment of happiness amongst the chaos.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. And that's what it was for me in my chaos. My life became so chaotic, and it was, I had the job, the house, the wife, the business class tickets, and then everything,
Gone.
was gone and from one day to the other. But I'm happier now. And, that from music was the light in my chaos and in my tunnel. And of course, medicine, alternative medicines, and a lot of things, and
Sure.
people and the support of the people.
Well, thank you so much for
Thank you.
talking to me today. It's been amazing listening to your story, and I'm wishing you the best with all your future music projects and collaborations.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me a floor to talk and to share my story.